black and white thinking goes to, if they don't want to do this for me, that means they don't love me enough or don't care about me enough. And what you're saying is someone could care or could love or could have certain feelings, but they may not have the bandwidth, whether that's emotional capacity or time or energy or whatever it may be. But our mind goes to, well, no, that's a sign that you don't love me, because the right person would have the bandwidth, which in effect is true. The right person will have the bandwidth.
The right person will, for sure, but it doesn't mean that they don't care about you. And that's the nuance. I think what I really learned what healing was, healing doesn't mean you get rid of the emotions. Healing doesn't mean that you just never feel sad or anxious or anything. What it means is that you learn to live with it. You expand that window of tolerance so you have the capacity to handle it. So it's not every single time there's an inconvenience, you're getting, either you're freaking out or you're crying or you're shutting down. It's like, okay, well then that we don't have the emotional capacity to be able to hold things. But that's also part of holding two conflicting thoughts. I can miss someone and also know they're not right for me. I can think you're amazing and also say, this isn't the right relationship for me. I can say that you're limited and also say, but I think that we can make it through. If we can hold the two conflicting thoughts, then what we're actually doing is we're turning our prefrontal cortex on. And oftentimes in dating, when we go from X equals Y equals Z, that's because your brain is trying to actually close the loop by a shortcut. And it's like, I love neuroscience. I think it's fascinating. The more we repeat something, the deeper those neural pathways become. And I found out something fascinating. It takes 300 repetitions for your body to remember a move. So I need to do squats 300 times for my body to go, okay, this is what I have to do. It takes 3,000 repetitions to create a new neural pathway that you would go down organically.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
That's a lot.
That's cool.
So let this be 2,999 left to go of I deserve, I'm worthy, I believe in myself. Even if you don't, but we got to start somewhere by creating these new neural pathways to be able to hold that space and capacity. Otherwise, you're just going to keep going, this means this. And that myopic black and white. The other fun fact I learned.
That's so good.
I love neuroscience. The other fun fact I learned is when we get triggered or dysregulated, your amygdala takes about 10 milliseconds to turn on. It's almost instant. Your prefrontal cortex takes 10 times longer, so 235 milliseconds to turn on into the seconds. That's why people will go straight to, they don't like me, they don't want me, they don't do this. To your point, for us to turn the prefrontal cortex on and go, what are my facts? Can I challenge this? That requires a lot of work. So most people go, no, energy save. This happened, this means this. Your brain is a predictive machine. It wants to keep you safe. It's not trying to help you grow. We have to rig the system.
Yeah. Wow. I love those. I've never heard either of those. And that's so helpful, and only a need to practice more repetition. And it's interesting you said that you said you need 3,000 neural repetitions. And I was thinking 3,000 means if you did something once a day per year, that would take 10 years to change it. And that's why it makes sense that so many real changes take so much longer than like 30 days and 90 days. And it's like, unless you were saying it to yourself 1,000 times a day, which is
right.
Unlikely.
And it's unlikely you'll believe it because your nervous system's like, you're gaslighting me. That's not real. So we have to push through that. Like, it's very uncomfortable doing the work. That's why most people don't want to do it. But if you're here because you are, just know that there are other people that are, but you don't need to have the bandwidth and capacity if somebody isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Last scenario before we do a little rapid fire. So the last scenario is you're dating someone who avoids conflict or shuts down when things get tough. How do you determine whether that's workable or a long-term incompatibility?
It's having the conversation with them of what are they going to do about it. That's the real reality, because if somebody is consistently shutting down, they don't have that, there's the rupture, but there's no repair. Well, then we have to say, and first of all, and see, do they take accountability of that? Are they trying to do anything about that? Or are they saying, well, that's who I am and this is it? Because you can absolutely work through that. Maybe they learned it in childhood that confrontation means that they're bad, and so they shut down. And maybe that means that they need to go to therapy. They need to understand what came up for them. They have to learn how to be present. I think what we need to learn is we have to look and see, if I show up as me, how are they showing up as them? And does that work for me? Because for a lot of people, they're used to being abandoned. They're used to having people go, well, you don't do what I want and I'm out. But maybe they're not used to someone that says, well, I'm here by your side. And if you're willing to do the work, I'll walk the journey with you. And I think that's a really beautiful place to be in growth and expansion. But two people have to be doing that. And if one person is going to gaslight, deflect, shut down, walk out, do this and go, well, no, I'm not going to talk about it.
Angel One app is